Hi, my name is Will, and I'm here to talk to you about God, the divine, the God of your understanding. And this video makes me both excited and scared at the same time. Because when it comes to the topic of God, and when I say God, you may not like that term, you may not resonate with that term. Maybe for you it is the divine or universe, and we'll get to that as we go into this video. What is the word that we choose, and does it really matter at all? And so I'm excited because for me, healing my relationship with the divine has been the most important journey of my life. And it's an ongoing journey. I have not arrived at some pinnacle. I feel that I've arrived at a bit of a maybe a beginner's peak, and I'm able to look down at the valley that I came out of. And I think that I have some things that will be very helpful for you if you're also on the journey of healing your relationship with God. And I'm terrified / scared because this topic brings up so much for each one of us as human beings. I don't think it matters who you are on the planet. We all have a relationship with life. We all have a relationship with existence because we are in existence and we are alive. Now, we may not identify with the term God, or we may not be a part of any specific organization or religious movement, but we all have a relationship with all that is, with the isness that is all around us. So healing our relationship with that experience is, I believe, the most important relationship that we have. Now, second to that is our relationship with ourselves. And third is our relationship with the world, or our work out in the world, our visibility, which is what I talk to many of my business clients about. But in this video series, what we're really focused on is your relationship with the divine. Now, I bring up visibility and I bring up your relationship with yourself because those are the other two key relationships in what I call the three major relationships: our relationship with God, with ourselves, and with the world. And they all feed each other. They all support each other. Just as if you want to be healthy, there's exercise, there's nutrition, and there's mindset. And those three things all support each other. Any weakness or lack of healing in one of those areas is going to affect the other two. So when it comes to healing your relationship with God, we need to talk about religious baggage. Now, religious baggage can happen for anyone. It isn't just for those people who grew up in the church or going to temple or attending a mosque. It is not only for those that have a religious past. Sometimes it could be as simple as your grandmother was very religious, even though your family was not, and so some of that kind of got on you. Or maybe you did grow up in a religious family and you still are religious, but there were some early life experiences, maybe a particular minister or pastor that spoke in a certain way or had certain beliefs, and that created a divide for you in your relationship with the divine. Or maybe you're a deeply spiritual person in your life right now. Maybe you're a healer or a coach or a therapist, and you have a strong sense of the divine, of the universe, but you have a really hard time saying words like God or Jesus or Allah or any of the other beautiful names that we have for God. So whatever group you're in, my goal and my aim in this video and the next 3 videos that I'm making, as well as the free call that I've scheduled, is to help you to heal that divide if you feel that you have a divide in your heart between you and the divine. So how do we unpack this religious baggage? Well, one thing to look at is patience and space and time, giving it some grace. I've been on this journey for my entire life, as I'm sure you have watching this as well. And by the way, I'm making this video. I have a couple little talking points that I've made on the side, but there's no script here. I'm just talking to you just as a human being to a human being, because I believe that's part of how we heal in our relationship with the divine. So my first talking point, I wanted to share with you that I first got onto this journey as I began a group called KIST. And this was many years ago, and KIST was an acronym that stood for Keeping It Simply Spiritual and Divine. And it was a small group of us that would gather every single day for an entire year. I think we went just over a year. And we would pray every day, every weekday. We took the weekends off. And most of those prayers I led because I have a gift of prayer. It's a gift called intercessory prayer, where I'm able to actually intercede on behalf of the people that I'm praying for or with or about, intercede on their behalf between what they truly desire, the divine, and what's showing up as the obstacle in their life. And so I was leading these prayers every day for this small group of people, very dedicated spiritual practitioners. And as we were speaking every day, and as I was leading these prayers, I was not able to say the word Jesus, or the word Lord, or the word Savior, even though I had this kind of desire to say them. And I wasn't Christian, and I'm still not actually Christian. But I had I wanted to sprinkle them in. I didn't even know why exactly, but I wanted them in there. I could say Allah. I could say Buddha. I could say universe, love, divine essence, peace, beauty, joy. I could say all the other terms I could think of, but not Jesus, Lord, or Savior. And so I realized that I had no business being a spiritual, quote unquote, teacher or leader or thought expert or any of those things if I couldn't say those words. I couldn't be a spiritual practitioner and not be able to say some of the names of God. And so very synchronistically, at the same time, I met some amazing women that were starting a new church. They were my age, they were young, and this minister and his family that were my age had moved up from Calgary to Toronto, and they'd started a new church, and they invited me to come. And shockingly, I said yes. And I say shockingly because I had a real chip on my shoulder when it came to Christianity. It was big. People could see it. I was just walking down the street, and they could tell that I was a very spiritual person, but I not hated, that might be a little strong, but I had a big chip on my shoulder around Jesus, Lord, Savior. So I went, and I actually started going to church every Sunday for an entire year and a little longer. And it was one of the most beautiful healing experiences of my life to be in a setting where I didn't fully agree with what the message was. I agreed with a lot of it, but not all of it. And my practice was to continue deepening my relationship with the divine, even if some of the details that were said from the pulpit were not aligned for me personally. And I grew in my relationship with God, and I actually got to meet Jesus myself and begin to build a relationship with him and speak to him about some of the things that were a concern for me. Even though I choose not to be baptized and I don't consider myself Christian, I do really enjoy having that relationship with Jesus. And that year-long journey brought up a lot of religious baggage, even though I didn't grow up in the church. And this happens for many of my clients. I remember a woman who's coming from the Jewish faith who wasn't practicing deeply, but she was about to be married. And she began to realize that her Jewish faith and her Jewish heritage was very important for her, but she had some things in the way. And so I helped her to identify that religious baggage and to shift it energetically and spiritually. And then the other example is, and this one is kind of an amalgamation of one person, healers who realize that they refuse to be too confident with clients because of how arrogant a minister or a church goer was when they were younger. And so they stopped going at an early age, but those early life experiences really had an impact in their ability to be fully present and confident with their clients. And so religious baggage can come from anywhere. It's not only if you grew up in a Christian church, for example. So the first step I've found in healing our relationship with the divine comes from identifying the specific religious baggage that has held us back so far. So I want you, after you finish this video, to please write it down. Write down, who are the authority figures in your life that really put a bad taste in your mouth, because we link up in our brains authority figure and the divine. So for me, it was my grandfather. Had a weird relationship with the man, and that really bled into my relationship with God. So one is authority figures. Another is specific life experiences. I'll never forget something that I'm not going to go into details or throw my uncle under the bus, but a particular uncle who said a particular thing at a very important time in my life, and I had a very hard time letting that go and forget while I read the Bible, etc., etc., etc. So for you, write down what are some of those specific experiences that came to mind, and what did you decide? What story did you make up? So when I read the book of Job at the age of 13, I decided God was a nincompoop. That's the nicest way I could say that. God was a nincompoop, and I had no interest in whatever he was espousing, because if that had anything to do with the way that the divine operated, then I wanted nothing to do with it. So that was a specific experience that added into my backpack of religious baggage. And then in our next video, I'm going to help you to unpack that bag. So this is not about creating a problem for you that you don't have. This is only if you have sensed that you've got a big ass backpack on with a bunch of religious baggage and that you want and that it's time for you to let that go, to take out some of those boulders that have been in the backpack so that you can climb the mountain of your relationship with the divine free and clear. The idea with all of this is that you have more freedom in your life, in your relationship with God, in your life, in your relationship to yourself, and in your relationship to the world and the work that you're doing out in the world. Because once you're free of this baggage, or even some of it, even just one, if you just take out one of those boulders, imagine how much easier you'll be able to walk up the mountain or down the windy path in the valley. I don't know, wherever you want to walk. Imagine how much easier it's going to be. And that's what we're going to get into in our next video. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.